Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Shannon, this is Made by Boo, and I am recording from a little bit outside Boise, Idaho. I'm having a few microphone problems this morning, so hopefully the audio isn't too bad. If it is, I am very sorry. Sometimes when there's issues I have time to take a couple of days, but I actually have people arriving to my house in maybe 3 hours, so not a lot of time to mess with it, so it's one of those where if the audio is off, the audio is off, but it is back to the setup I had before I got the microphone I was using, so we've done it this way before. I do have quite a bit to talk about, including 2 finished objects. I know they're not always a surprise because they were in the thumbnail, but the first one I have is a finished pair of socks. So these are using the 2023 Mystery Mouse Advent. Oh, I briefly thought I messed up and got them 2 different sizes. So this was from Mystery Mouse. It was Agatha Christie themed, and it was based off of Death on the Nile. So this blue was the main color that came with it, and then these were the mini skeins. It was designed to go with a shawl, which I have shown the shawl on here before. I think I even had it out last time. And when I made the shawl, I just didn't want to use the main color with it. So I used the leftovers to make some socks. I do still have a little bit of all of the colors, but at this point I have now made 2 different projects with these mini skeins. They are just in my little scrap bowl where I will weigh them and disperse them to other projects from here. I feel like I've gotten a good use out of that one, and now the rest of the leftovers will go into scrap projects. The next finished object I have is using yarn from Ruby and Roses. This was from her Taylor Swift collection that came out last year, I believe. And this was the color Love Story, and then the little pink at the top is Rosy Cheeks. So I made myself some that were kind of little. They're not really shorties, but I've been making a lot of very tall socks, and I just was not in the mood to make tall socks. So I even only did 10 rounds on the rib there, which I normally do 20, 30 rounds there, which lately, I mean, like, these ones were 70. So a lot shorter than I've been doing. And then I did a little rounded toe. And these ones actually lead right into my first work in progress. I have 3 active works in project, and then 3 of my more long-term ones that it's the beginning of a new month, so time to share what I worked on those last month. So the first work in project, and how that leads into it, it's technically a half-finished object, but it is using the same yarn. So these are the socks for me. My little one doesn't technically know these are coming yet, but she did get a little jealous. My middle daughter got a lot of coordinating socks with me, and they were for plays we were going to, and as she was not going to the plays, she did not get the coordinating socks. It was just kind of the 2 of us thing, but she's getting a matching pair of socks. So the first sock is finished, almost exactly alike. She does like short socks, but because, as you can see, they were like drastically different sizes, I don't have to do changes like I did with my middle child, where our feet are very, very similar. Well, our sock sizes are very, very similar. So I finished the first one, and I am about halfway through the rib on the second one. I'm hoping to have these socks finished by the weekend, like by next weekend, so that I can kind of surprise her and we can wear our matching socks together. You would think I'd be over making matching socks after doing 5 sets of coordinating socks, but as I was working on them, she kept telling me how pretty it was, and it was like, you know what? She's got little feet. It will not take me very long, and it will completely make her day, so why not make us some matching socks, and then it'll be fun. And this child does not have as many hand knit socks from me. I really only have one of my kids that has more than 1 pair of hand knit socks from me. My oldest does not like hand knit socks, so I made her a pair, and she tried them on, and she was like, I don't want to hurt your feelings, Mom, but I don't like them. Please don't, I'm not going to wear them. Please don't make me any more. And we actually ended up pulling those socks out, and we're going to use the yarn for a project for her that she might enjoy more. Then my middle daughter always has cold feet, so of course she loves all her nice warm wool socks. And then my littlest is usually barefoot. I've made her one pair of hand knit socks, and she usually wears them for about 10 minutes, strips them off, and then runs around playing. So it's like, I want to make them for her because I know she wants them, but I also don't want to make them for her because I know she's not going to wear them. I've got 2 more works in progress. So let me readjust and we'll grab those. All right, so part of my readjusting is also my camera will only let me film for so long, and then I get 0 notice really when it's done. So I try to stop occasionally so that it doesn't cut me off mid-sentence. I mean, there's worse things that could happen. I'm sorry, I'm still drinking coffee. I got up this morning and I did yard work, so I had 1 cup of coffee then, and I normally have 2 cups of coffee every day, and I just decided I really wanted that 2nd cup, so I still have it. Let's see. First work in progress we'll do, neither of these 2 you've seen before. So I guess this is technically 2nd work in progress. Neither of these you've seen before, but this is kind of a revisit. So I did go to my local yarn store and purchased yarn for the 2nd time this year. The first time I did get 4 from Joann's because it was going out, and I'm gonna make a blanket out of that, but I did not go as crazy as I could have. And then the 2nd time I actually have gone out and bought yarn this year was for local yarn shop day. I did get my local yarn shop's colorway. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that yet. They had it was based off a painting that has been hanging in 3 Loves yarn, and they had a main skein that you could just get that one, but then they also had the set that had the main skein and then 3 contrasting colors. So I would kind of like to find like a shawl or something to make out of that where I can use all of it together. But the other thing that I got is the yarn for this project. So, sorry, So anyways, the other yarn that I got is the yarn for this project. That was, let me get my train of thought back. Sorry, got something in my eye and it threw everything off. So this project is a remake of something that I had to scrap. So I showed last time my North Avenue Slipover by the Little Wolf Knits using some hand spun yarn, and I ran out of hand spun yarn and it was looking really cute, but I had no good answers for it. I still really wanted to do this project, but I did not have good answers for that project. I did not actually pull that project out, but I did take it off the needles because I kind of determined that any way of finishing it, I'm not going to be happy with. So I just have not quite had the heart to actually pull it out. But I did still really want the sweater. So I figured when I went to local yarn shop day, it's like, well, this is a special event. I will look, and if I see yarn for this project, I will get it. But I'm not going to buy yarn for this project just to buy yarn. So I did find some that I liked. The yarn that I got is Noro yarn. And I think it is the yarn itself is called Madara. I'm probably saying that really, really bad. M-A-D-A-R-A. It is a 60% wool, 30% silk, 10% alpaca. 99% sure this is not superwash. I can't read all the little symbols off the top of my head, but so I'll have to be very careful with it. But it is a DK weight, and I liked the colors. It was not exactly what I had gone with before, because when I had started this before, I was just going with the hand spun yarn I already had. I decided I wanted something semi-neutral because I knew that meant I would be more likely to wear it, and I would be able to wear it with multiple things. Most of the time if I wear something, it's going to be with black. I just wear a lot of black. But this is what I ended up picking out. So here's the skein I have not touched. I mean, it looks very gray, but there's a lot of green to the gray, and then it has nice little flecks of rainbow in there. And here is how far I am. I was hoping to be a little farther than I am right now, But I've got the back made, got both sides of the front together, and I'm getting ready to do the underarm increases. I was hoping to have the underarm increases done before people get here later today, because then it's just going in the round for a long time and I can zip through this while people are here visiting. But I didn't quite make it. I did make one alteration, and that was I added a little bit. So it's a paid for pattern. I'm not going to give all the details. But when you're doing the two sides, like, you do some increases and then you meet in the middle. I did the increases, and then instead of meeting in the middle right away, I just did 6 extra rows on each side. I do not like things too high-necked, and this pattern also does have a collar with it. So it was like, okay, I'm just going to give myself that extra inch because I will want the extra space. I know me, I know I will. I'm not making this incredibly oversized. I am making it much more fitted. So I'm going to want that extra space at the neck. And if it's too much, once I add that ribbing at the neck, it's going to help. And if it's just right, then I just don't add the ribbing at the neck, and it's fine. So that's how far I am. I am liking the way it's turning out, and this time, because I already ran out of yarn, I have this much left of my first skein. Have not cut into the second skein yet, and I did buy myself a third skein that I'm probably not going to need, just in case. I did not cake that one up yet, but the plan was, if that is, like, if I don't need it to finish this, then I will use it to make, like, fingerless gloves later. Which my daughter laughed at me that I'm making a sleeveless sweater and then making separate sleeves. And I told her, it's just, you know, I'm making a sleeveless sweater, so why not make fingerless gloves? But I'm not really much of a hat person, so I know if I make a hat that I could wear with it, like, it's a DK weight, it would be nice, it'd be cozy, it'd be warm, it would be staying in a drawer. I just know that about myself, so why bother doing that? Alright, so the next work in progress I have is a new project. I have not showed it on here before. I don't know that I should have cast it on, but I do tend to keep 3 projects going at all times, and so I just started on it. It probably is going to go semi on a pause while people are here, but let me just go ahead and get into it. First, this is just a cute little basket. I found it at a thrift store. We were down there donating and just popped in for a second, and I don't know, it's got a little crack there on the handle. The lid is not perfect, but I just thought it was so cute, and it was like, I could put a project in that, and then I did. So, this project is a shawl. I'm starting to kind of get a little bit of a desire to make shawls. Part of it, I think, is just because my basket of hand knit socks is overflowing, and I have a whole bunch of single skein fingering weight yarns. And so it's like, okay, well, what else can I do with those? And then I did see a pattern or two for, like, shawls that were designed to be done with sock sets, and I was like, that's a nice variation. But I had got this one not this year at Local Yarn Shop Day, and last year I missed Local Yarn Shop Day, but the year before I got this as kind of like a kit, where at the yarn shop they had put everything together, and you pick out, they have like the several different patterns that use a certain thing. You pick out a pattern, and then they have some colors mixed together for it. And I just hadn't gotten around to doing it. So I have the printout of the pattern here. This is the Wild Ride by Aspen Knits. Hopefully that's not showing too much of the pattern. So as you can kind of see, you've got like a main color and a lot of different stripes, and you've got like up here the stripes are kind of an even, and then the chevron kind of gets uneven. So I mean, I do really like the pattern here, trying to make sure I keep everything the way it needs to be until I'm done. So I am using a few different yarns. My main color is from Leo and Roxy. It's the color Rhapsody. And then I have 5 mini skeins in so far. because I am making a couple of alterations on this as well. So the 5 mini skeins that came with it are all in. I can't find the labels. They're all from Knitted Niceties. I just can't find the labels to remind me what their colors are. So I've got, these were the 5 that came with it, and I loved like the white with the rainbow. And there's just a little bit more up here with the main color, and then it switches to like the other pattern part where one side will start getting shorter and the other side will get longer. So that's why I'm kind of at almost at a good stopping point where I could work through the little bit more, but this is going to take a little bit of focus. So the only other thing that I'm doing that's different is I'm only using these 5 once. In the pattern, you would then use the 5 for the other stripes as well, but I liked the rainbow, but I didn't like that there was no blue, there was no purple. It was like, well, I have minis, I have scraps, let me see what I have. And so I found kind of a teal, a dark blue, a couple of shades of purple, and then this gray. Ooh, my basket is falling. So these are all going to come for the next stripe pattern. So instead of it being pink, red, orange, yellow, green, pink, red, orange, yellow, green, it's pink, red, orange, yellow, green, teal, blue, purple, purple, gray. Which I just think the more colors, I'm going to like how it turns out better. But the other thing that has kind of changed for me since it started is my original thought was I was going to make this for myself just because I like the colors and it's pretty, and most of the stuff I make is for myself. But as I've worked on it, I realized this is probably for my mom. As I worked on it and I was working on the colors, it was like, you know, I bet my mom would like that. It's getting to be summer, so she's probably not going to be cold very much. But we will be going to see her this summer for her birthday. I've already knit her a pair of socks, but I could try to finish this in the next 6 weeks. Based on the fact that this is in less than 2 weeks, I could keep going and see if I finish it, and if I don't, I don't. If I do, I bring it and I give it to her for her birthday. But on top of that, it's like, I know my mother. She'll have days when she's just a little chilly and she can wrap this around her shoulders. She loves colors. Like, I love color, but have a tendency to not actually wear the bright colors. My mom does wear the bright colors. She loves them. That's what she goes for. I put them on and I go, and then change into something black again. So she is more likely to wear it to begin with, but also there's just that part of me that's like, yeah, but she'd probably enjoy wearing it like to church or something. Like, if I wore it, I would put it on, drive to work, and then take it off. She would wear it to church. She would wear it to the store. I mean, pretty much the only place I can't picture my mom wearing a shawl around her, like just wearing it and enjoying it, would be to take her dogs for a walk. So, and even then, it's like I've made her a cowl that she wears for that. So that's why once I started working on it and seeing the colors, it just kind of clicked in my head that's like, oh, this isn't for me. This is for my mom. So I am putting myself kind of on okay, focus, see if you can get that made for her. But it was a little bit of a whim project. It is on my bingo card because I did have shawl on there with that specific shawl in mind. But like I said, when I bought the yarn, my original thought was that, oh yeah, I'm going to make it for myself. I even started working on it now because it's like, oh, if I work on it April, May, that should be enough time. I could finish it before June and it'll be a rainbow. It'll be great for Pride, even if it would be too hot to wear it. But it's still like, hey, I will have made something rainbow before Pride starts. That'll be awesome. Yay. And then it was just like, nope, this is for my mom. It's not meant for me, it is meant for her. So I'm going to try to finish that up and give that to her for her birthday. All right, so I do have 3 more projects real quick. These are the projects I am trying to work on more as a monthly basis than a daily basis. So I do have kind of a pattern for how I work on things. On a regular basis, I tend to have 3 projects going. One, like a pair of socks or something small, simple, and that's my travel project. It usually lives in my car during the week, and I have a tendency to get to work early and then I'll just sit there with an audiobook on or watching YouTube or something like that, working on this simple, no pattern, no brain project. It's one of the reasons why I do make a lot of socks, because not only do I like making them, but they're great mobile projects. Then I tend to have one project that I keep downstairs and one project that I keep upstairs, so that I have something upstairs for before I get ready to go to bed and something downstairs for when I'm like watching TV with the kids. Then I also have projects that I will work on like over the weekend. These are going to be sometimes projects that take a little bit, oh, excuse me, getting slight hiccups. These are projects that might take a little bit more focus, or they might take more time. Things where like they're not mindless projects at all. So those tend to be on the weekend. Currently, my weekend projects are ones I'm working on, trying to just chip away to finish it before the end of the year. Only one of these ones is not strictly a weekend one, and that is my first one. This is a scrap project. This one I've kind of been working on when my youngest is like taking a bath or taking a shower. Some of those getting ready for the night things, because at 7 years old, she's very independent, but also there's going to be moments where it's like, oh, hey, look, I'm trying to adjust water temperature and it got boiling, or hey, I forgot to put my towel in reach. I'm brushing my teeth and all of a sudden I forgot something. You know, whatever happens, 7-year-olds are 7-year-olds. And this one is my Coziest Memory by Kemperay. I honestly don't remember. I will link it down below. I don't look at the pattern day to day anymore because it is a fairly simple one. And my goal with this one has been to try to get at least one square done per week. So for the month of May, I actually did get 5 squares instead of 4, which is, or the month of April, I got 5 instead of 4, which is good because I only got 4 instead of 5 for March. So that kind of means I'm caught up. But the goal is if I get one done a week by the end of the year, I will definitely be through all the scraps of this correct size, but I will have made a lot of progress on this blanket. So the first square I have is right here. And then that kind of finished off a row, and I switched over, and the other 4 are up here. So this one looks like it got a little bit off. These ones are still a little bit big. I'm hoping once I put others around them, they won't look quite so ridiculous, but some of these are definitely like very recent. I'm pretty sure these 2, maybe these 3, all came from my So Happy Jane 2024 advent calendar, because I just finished a shirt with them. Oh, there you go. I'm sorry, I keep getting stuff in my eyes today. And then I have colors picked out for these next 2. I'm trying to weave in most of the ends as I go. Like once they get kind of sealed in there, weave in a few ends, but so I don't want to get to the end of this project and just have an insane number of ends, but also usually when it's like, okay, I have a couple minutes, I could weave in some ends, or I could start the next square. I usually choose to start the next square. So I do have some more ends that I need to get in there and weave in, but I've been just trying to do a few at a time here and there. I don't want it to ever be overwhelming getting the ends woven in. So that also means like I have to keep up on it, but I don't want to be keeping up on it so much that it is now overwhelming. So this month, I think it's 4 weekends in May. I don't know. I'm going to try to cast on my next one. And then, like I said, I usually just work on it sometimes when my kid's up here getting ready for bed. Because sometimes the whole process is going to take 5 minutes and I get a row. Sometimes it's like a 20-minute process and I get 5 or 6 rows. I think each square probably takes me probably an hour to an hour and a half. I know I hear people say it only takes them like 45 minutes. I haven't timed myself, but I feel like it takes forever. So, I mean, it's definitely a teeny tiny blanket. This is going to be something that is a work in progress for a very long time, I think, which I'm both happy about and sad about. I think it's going to be gorgeous when it's done, but also, you know, sometimes you want the pretty thing. So that one, I just have to be patient, and I'm not always patient. The next monthly project I have, it's on top, so we'll go with this one. This is my Anthology Throw. It is using yarn from the 2024 Advent Calendar from Ruby and Roses. It's going to be hard to see because we are far enough in that it is like this big, more of like a big bag in around the needle versus anything else. But I have 2, 4, 6, 8 colors in, yeah. And I mean, this is one that I might work on while people are here a little bit to keep up with some of my monthly knitting, because for the most part it's easy. It's just when I get to these eyelet rows, I just have to pay attention to when I get to those. I'm absolutely loving this yarn. I have not bought a lot from Ruby and Roses. Like, I have this yarn, and then I had bought one other sock set at the same time, and then I got this, but it's one of those where it's so squishy, it's so cozy. I am so excited to have this blanket done, but I mean, each round has like almost 600 stitches in it, so it takes forever. And there's absolutely moments where I'm like, I should speed up and just speed run this one and finish it, but it would still take me so long to get through it, and I would not be working on like anything else. So that's why the goal is just to get 2 colors every month. I may hit a point where I decide to try to speed it up a little bit, just so that it's done before December starts, only because I am still currently planning on doing Advent socks, and I don't want to fall behind on things. So yeah, here's that one. All right, and my last monthly project, I am starting to keep all the scraps together, and then here's my next yarns. So this is the Yorkshire Crochet Along Blanket using the FanGirl Fibers 2024 Haunted Holidays Advent Calendar. So my original goal was to do 2 squares every month because it's 24 squares, so 2 colors a month. I did up it and try to get 3 squares a month, so that way, if my calculations are correct, I will finish all of the squares by August? Yeah, August. And then I would have September to December to do all of the joining and the border and still have it done by the end of the year. So I do have 3 new squares. I did go and block these ones, and I ended up accidentally cutting some of my ends very short because I accidentally spilled water on my whole table as I was pulling them out. I was just going to lay them down, take a picture so I remembered what order they were supposed to be in, and ended up spilling my water as I finished taking the picture. So some of my ends that I trimmed them off are itty bitty, but this is the foxglove square. That is the second of the foxglove squares. And then these 2 are lambing season. And oh my goodness, I just suddenly forgot which order they were in. There we go. So that is all my squares for that. I do have the next 2 colors spun up, and as I block them, that's when I am cutting off the rest of the ball of yarn. So I have like the scraps in here, but I'm holding on to these scraps until I finish the squares. Most of the time that's what I do. I keep all of the project together until the project is done, just in case I need more of that yarn. But I'm not sure that there's any point to doing that. I still currently am, and I don't desperately need those scraps in for any project right now, so they're fine where they are. So that is all of my finished objects, half-finished objects, and works in progress. I have definitely gotten a lot done. I felt like I was really far behind on my projects, and then of course having another project where I started working on it and it was going what felt like it was fine and then fell apart. It definitely was a little discouraging towards the end of the month, but then I rallied, finished everything I needed to finish to meet my monthly goals for the month, and here we are starting the next month. As I said, I do have people coming to visit in about 2 hours now. Oh Lord, no, I'm looking at the time wrong. 1 hour-ish. I have been calculating this out wrong the whole time. I thought I had 3 hours. I had 2 hours. So I know that my projects are going to get a little bit different work over the next little while. If I have everything correct in my brain, I'm going to have people at my house for the weekend for 3 weekends in a row. So it's definitely going to be a little bit different trying to get through all my projects that take focus. But I do also know that I have a long weekend in like at the end of June. So like technically I'm only necessarily planning on trying to get 2 squares done on my Yorkshire crochet along blanket this month, with the idea that next month I'll get 4. Because I know I will have that long time to catch up. And I've kind of just tried to think about, if I know this month I'm going to be behind, and I know I have things going on in both May and June, when are times that I can make up these things? And that's helping a little bit. I do have a really bad tendency of planning these things and telling myself this project is going to be fun, and then stressing myself out about it enough that it's not necessarily fun anymore. So I'm trying really hard not to do that, but I'm definitely getting that kind of like, ooh, I could do this and this and this and this and this and this. And I think trying to plan and schedule my projects is helping a little bit to control that. But there is still a part of me that just wants to start like 15 more projects, because I have some yarn and then I thought of what that would be good at. And then there's this and that would be good for this. And oh, but I really do want to make a this. And I don't even know if I have the yarn for it, but I want to make it. I'm having to do a lot of reining stuff in to stay focused, especially knowing I don't have a lot of time. I don't know if I will want to do anything like these projects next year, where I do try to pace myself throughout the year. It seems like it's a good way to try to get some progress done on projects that would otherwise take forever, but also it kind of gives you that constant pressure on them. So who knows? I feel like I definitely might hit a point with some of these projects where I'm like, nope, zooming through the end of it, but we'll see if that happens or not. So that's all with the projects. Life stuff is mostly simple. My in-laws will be here a little bit later today. I know I've mentioned the last 2 times that we have been dealing with flooding in our crawl space. We were expecting to still be dealing with that until the end of May. And then, like they'd been working on the repair, and then the prevention people were supposed to come out around the end of May. And then we got a call and they're like, hey, we can move you up. So they actually came out last week. So we have one more set of workers coming out on Monday to finish up some of that stuff. And then it's just figuring out if we can get any help from insurance for this, which it's sounding like no. And figuring out where we go from there with all of that. Like once all of that part is settled, whether we like it or not, we will technically be done with this, and that is going to be a relief. We are going to have people visiting, my in-laws, and then my brother may also be coming. And then next month we are going to be traveling to California to see family as well, so we're planning for that. Work is work, so some days you go in and everything seems easy, and some days you go in and it feels like everything's falling apart. I feel like that's a normal work thing. Yeah, I'm not really doing a lot of gardening this year. My garden has been, my entire backyard has been overtaken by, oh my gosh, I keep thinking daffodils, dandelions. And we've been fighting them for years, and they just keep getting worse and worse and worse. And this year my garden was so overrun with weeds and everything that I can't really get to my garden that much. Before all the stuff happened with the crawl space, we were looking at getting some help redoing in our backyard and all of that, but that's not going to happen. So instead, I'm just scaling back on my garden this year, and I'm going to grow some tomatoes, not very much, and just kind of work on getting my garden back from the weeds and just trying to keep it under control for the year. it'll be what it'll be with that, and then next year we'll see if we can make some of the improvements we wanted to. Unfortunately, that is the way it goes, where you make plans for these things and then sometimes they just don't happen. But that's all I have for today. I am going to hurry up and get editing this since I realized I don't have the time I thought I did, which really means I need to get moving. So thank you all very much. I'm not sure if my filming schedule is going to be affected by people visiting, and whether it is affected or not, until we see each other again, have a very happy making.